Hello and welcome, my Virgo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. How are you all? Welcome to your work, career, vocation read for November and December 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of DrawingTheCircle Productions, the Archangel of Lyons, Mark Angelo Lyons, but you can call me Mal, and I'm a Virgo sun sign on top of that, and what a busy day it has been. I'm recording these the day before they go out, and today, out of nowhere, we did a podcast. Our second episode of Mal and Mal Do, ... was recorded. It's in its editing process right now. That will be up very soon. We'll figure out when. We'll probably premiere it. There you have it. Busy day out of nowhere. We knew we were going to podcast. We didn't know today was the day, but that's Virgo life for you. And so, my subscribers, thank you so much for your love and support, for helping a Virgo do their work, career, vocation through your likes, your subscribes, your notification bells, your comments, your shares, all that stuff. Thank you so very much. We're getting there, slow but steady. We'll get to 30,000 so we can do the membership thing. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it'll be so cool. I'm like, yes, it'll be so cool because I can do readings on material that otherwise would not fly on regular YouTube, if you know what I'm saying, in terms of readings, in terms of spiritual counseling, in terms of tantric, etc. stuff. Just saying, right? So please, if you're new to my channel, the reading, if it clicks for you, just hit the thumbs up, just like the video. If you like me, how I read, how I work, and all that jazz, please subscribe and feel free to comment. I like the commentary, particularly on the work, career, vocation reads. It's not about twin flames and soulmates and all that for a change, right? Breathe. All right, and that's all we have to do in this reading is breathe. The divine is going to work through me. You focus on your breath. Be here in the present moment. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's a general reading. Check your other signs, all the YouTube-y stuff. And we can get down to business. We're looking at work, career, vocation, 3 levels of power, service, life purpose, whatever you want to call it. I just call it work, career, vocation. A spread that I've been doing for myself for decades, as my company started in 1998. So, check in, where am I in the balance of my 3 levels of power? What I do for work, what I do for my career, and what I do for vocation, because they're easy to confuse, but they're very different aspects, right? So if you think of it as the chakras, right? Lower 3 chakras, work. What do you do in navigating in the world? How do you survive, right? How you make money, perhaps. I don't make money in work. That's administrational work for me. That's producer's work. That's director's work. It's the lighting and all that, right? I'm paid to do that. I pay myself, I guess, in a way. But I make mine not through my lower chakras, but through my heart, throat, third eye, and crown, right? My career, teacher, healer, intuitive, and all that jazz, right? That's my passion. That's your 2nd level of power, your career. How many artists' career? Wait tables or do other things to make money, survive, right? So you could say passion and survival. But then that 8th chakra, that calling, your spiritual calling, your vocation has to do with your soul and your contribution and your interaction with the world from the soul's point of view. It's just an incredible thing. It's your spiritual power. It's 5th dimensional unity consciousness, right? So to get all of those in alignment, for me, I'm a mystic in my vocation. My vocation is to follow the calling of the divine. Wherever it fucking calls me to, I go, right? It's the mystery of it all as a mystic. So you see, I line them all up. They all work together, but it took me quite a while to do that. And so here's the process of sort of like a GPS check. 9 cards, very simple. 3 Carolyn Myss archetype cards, work, career, vocation. 3 Daughters of the Moon for the internal experience of that. 3 Mythic Tarot for the external. There we go. A lot of exposition, but it's done. All the decks that I read are in the bottom of the description box as the Virgo checked off all of the expository information so we can get into this. I do believe so. The last word is breathe. So let's do just that, shall we? And my pantheons are ready to rock and roll. Breathe. Yeah, this is our jam, the Virgo. Please, my collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters. I love this part. And the higher selves of all involved, please. I need 3 Caroline Myss archetype cards. 1 for work, 1 for career, 1 for vocation. for the Virgo collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, ooh, feel that, Venus sign, for November and December 2020, because it's work, career, vocation. These things do take time. So check last month's and see how it flows into this one. So for Virgo, one for lower three chakras, our work. So I'm probably involved in this one being a Virgo. For career, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, and eighth chakra, our vocation, work, career, vocation. Those shot out once the energy was right. So let's see who we are dealing with. Now, oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right. So let's keep in mind archetypes are neutral, but in this deck, how it's created, it focuses on certain shadow and light attributes, lead to gold, pain to peace, fear to love, however you want to play that alchemical game. Lead to gold is kind of my favorite. This is something, I don't know that I'm in this one, because this is not an archetype I really relate to. And it is the rescuer archetype, a member of the healing family in the lower three chakras. So it's very much about rescuing in the outside world. The shadow attribute assumes that the rescued will reciprocate, just assumes that. Well, of course you are. I'm going to rescue you and you're going to rescue me right back. Oh God, what movie is that? Oh, Pretty Woman. Bad reference. Keeps the rescued one needy, though. Yes, indeed, a working girl, probably not a Virgo though. Keeps the rescued one needy, right? This is the shadow side of it. There's such a hidden agenda there, which all shadow sides are about, hidden agendas, whether you're aware of them or not. The light attribute, though, and this is what it's a healing family archetype, the rescuer archetype, provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. And that's very Virgo, I will say, when we're flying high, when we're in our light. But, you know, the rescuer can be animal rescue, right? It can be like, I know so many rescuers. And this is in context of work, not relationships. Like I know plenty of people who have the rescuer relationships, rescuer archetype in their relationships, their romantic relationships in particular, taken in strays and all of that. But you can feel that, right? It's little Sarah McLachlan in the background, but not so much that you have to dive for the remote control or start crying otherwise. Very, very interesting, lower three chakras. So you can feel that. That's very Virgo. For divine family archetype for your career here, the monk nun. Now, has this one shown up before? Yes, this showed up in the same position, career, for Taurus. So if you have any Taurus placement, you haven't watched it yet, you might want to have a look-see-ducksy there, the monk nun. This is a high divine family archetype, but in its toxicity, it's lethal. Negative judgment of the physical world, excessive piety. Ugh, I know, it's very Virgo, right? Negative judgment of the physical world. Well, it's just so crude, and so I don't even want to say the word plebeian. The monk nun wouldn't use that, but unholy, unsacred, despoiled, blasphemous, right? Like that kind of language, right? Excessive piety, really not just crossing your legs, but building a wall. Let's leave that there. God, the symbolism, I could jump off in that one for a Virgo. We'd never come back. But the light, selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit, right? If you're an artist, and you have that inside of you, that single-minded. I caught the glitch right when it happened. I know exactly where I left off. If you're an artist and you have the monk nun archetype in your interior world, there is dedication. You don't mind walling yourself off. It's like being confined to your own space in your own home. Look at me. Could I look more like a Virgo right here? Here, look. Bloop, bloop, bloop. It's like that, but nothing better, right? You can give single-minded devotion. So look, if you're doing rescue work on the outside in some way, shape, or form, I mean, that might even be with family members. That might be just something that you're doing, but then this is like your real passion, calling, right? Whether, you don't have to spiritualize a career necessarily to bring your spirit to it, right? Just bring your love to it. But the single-minded devotion, now I will say, if you are like an animal rescuer, I know a lot of people, this would not shock me, that they would have that single-minded devotion of the monk of the nun, whatever it takes. This is my passion. This is my thing that I do, right? Divine family archetype to rescue whoever, whatever. Like in the light, this is so very Virgo. I don't think this is me. Like monk monk non-archetype, but the rescuer is really not my jam. I'm a healer. I'm a healer and a teacher. I'm teacher man to fish. Hooks and all. Now here's the tricky one. Well, that even could be tricky, but in the vocation, we've got the wounded child. So this is about the innocence of our hearts. This is about our own healing of perhaps even our spiritual wounds, our relationship to the divine as divine children, although the divine child archetype is in this deck as well. There are wounds in place here. Now, let me read this to you. The shadow part of it is all about forgiveness. In the 8th chakra, the ego is never going to forgive, but we are not the ego. The ego, well, the ego is it's an inflamed nervous system. Personality that rises up. We just talked about this, and Mal and Mal do the underworld in the podcast, right? But it's that child in our hearts, and when it's in the 8th chakra, it's really saying that forgiveness is your answer here, but it's the type of forgiveness you're familiar with, you might be hostile towards, and there's good purpose for that. The shadow attribute blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds. Been there. Resists moving on through forgiveness. Now, look, I don't know any child, any person in my life that didn't have a rough childhood in some way, shape, or form. How will we all get wounded? That doesn't mean somebody has the wounded child archetype, though. This is a very, very specific flavor, sub-pattern of the child archetype, and everybody has the child archetype, but maybe you do, maybe you don't, the wounded in particular. But catch the light. This is where it turns into vocation for me. And I think you're going to get the pieces coming together with these three. The light attribute awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children. With a selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit, providing strength and support to others in crisis, acting out of love with no expectation of reward. Do you feel the gold line through that? From there's more here, by the way, opens the learning path of forgiveness, the learning path of forgiveness. In other words, if you knew how to forgive in a way that actually heals, that what Course in Miracles is talking about in terms of the miracle of forgiveness, very different than what the ego has done with forgiveness. It makes it a form of superiority. It's an extrapolation of the spiritual ego. It's toxic, and nothing heals. Nothing heals because you did it, but I forgive you. No. Wow. Just wow. Capital W-O-W. World of wonder. Let's keep going. We have to build on this. I mean, I can relate to it to an extent. I don't get the rescuer archetype. Now, then again, it should be said, from a tarot reader's point of view, yes, these are archetypes that are active in your work, career, vocation. But if they're not your archetypes, they're archetypes you're dealing with in other people or places or things, right? Situations, if they're not yours, and maybe, and again, that's going to play itself out differently for everybody, obviously, general read. Daughters of the Moon Tarot. Let's see what's going on the inside with the goddesses, right? The divine feminine. How are we experiencing this if I'm in this one? I don't care anymore. Breathe. Let me be impersonal in the read. That's fine. There we go. My goddesses of earth and the sign of Virgo, please. One card in clarity for the Virgo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign in their work, career, and vocation. Their 3 levels of power, their survival, their creative passion, hunger, and thirst, and their visionary calling, their spiritual mission at this point, November and December 2020, please. What's the internal experience then dealing or interacting with that rescuer archetype? Healing family, rescuer archetype, root, sacrum, solar plexus. For the monk nun in the heart, throat, third eye, and crown, please. The career, that monk nun. What's the interior yin aspect of that we need to look at? And for that wounded child in the 8th chakra, with that light, right? It's like that's powerful stuff there. We might even be talking about spiritual wounds that happened in childhood. Like, and goodness gracious, there's plenty of them to go around. So please, my goddesses, what's the yin aspect of this? The internal experience for this wounded child in the 8th chakra in the vocation for the Virgo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, November, December 2020. Sorry that took a while, but this feels important. I don't know if that's the right word. Relevant. Well, okay, with the rescuer, you've got the Eight of Cups, withdrawal, pulling back, Virgo time, let me follow, right? Let me take a boat to an island, bring a torch, which must be really hard to row and hold that at the same time without going in circles. But hey, to each their own, their journey. Every day is a winding road. We might get a little bit closer. But we are definitely looking at some cups upright, some cups spilled, leading her deeper into the cave, which one would be into the self, into the personal level of power. So that's interesting. Maybe a walking away from the outside world to walk within yourself. Got it. For that monk nun, and here's the thing, there are revelations waiting for you. The card of the judgment card, the card of celebration, looks like women dancing, and they are. And it looks like they're dancing in the mountains, and it does look that, but look, they're dancing on the belly of the great Mother Gaia, breasts in the foreground, pubic mound in back, navel in the center, something is revealed. A rite of passage is near completed. The card after this would be the world or the universe. In the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot. So we're looking at that card of judgment. It's the judgment card. It's that seeing the larger picture inside of yourself. And with that monk nun archetype, that is coming as the result of selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. Now, let me say, to the spirit of your career, to the spirit of your passion, to the spirit of your soul calling you in a certain direction in terms of your career, whatever that may be. It's like you don't have to, like, I don't know, be a reader or a shaman. You don't have to change your career, right? You can absolutely channel that through what you're doing, though you are pulling back. And this doesn't surprise me with what's going on planet Earth right now, right? Working from home, if at all, right? You got the Leo card here with this. There's great creativity. There's great creativity, fixed fire here, fifth house, creativity, good fortune. This wounded child archetype, I would say, is higher percentage in gold than lead, really more light than shadow here. I mean, we are looking at a creative passion, like think that Leo energy, that fifth house of not just artistic, but creative in the sense of that creative fire, that fixed fire, that single-minded devotion, right? Almost obstinate, like Leos can be, right? And that's no shade. They know, and they get focused on something fixed fire, right? It's like a laser beam. But really something here about forgiveness too, and that is a process, and it does take time. Well, life moves at the speed of forgiveness, as Carolyn Myss. I don't know if she said it first, but she's the one I heard it from, and I'll never forget that. So I forgive as soon as you can, even if it takes years, because it takes as long as it takes till that cake is baked, which also sort of rhymes. The gods. Shall we? The gods. Mythic Tarot. What's going on the outside with this thing? I want to see. I find this very interesting. Breathe. And by the way, interesting from the point of view of a reader, not necessarily from the point of view of Virgo. Sometimes, like, really, I get the guy like, I don't think this is my dance, but we'll see. Let's see what this looks like on the outside. We'll ask the gods. Breathe. This should be fun. My gods of earth and the sign of Virgo, Dionysus in particular. My patron god, please, can we get 3 cards of clarity? My beloved gods, the divine masculine aspect of the universe. What does this all look like? What does this appear to be on the outside for the Virgo collective sun, moon, rising, Venus signs in their work, their career, and their vocation for November and December 2020? Please, one for their work. They've got the rescuer archetype with the 8 of Cups. One for their career, right? Heart, third eye, and crown. The monk with celebration. That could be such a card of revelation, right? Like it was there, but you couldn't see it. But through single-minded dedication and devotion to spirit, that's what that's going to look like on the outside. Don't worry, I haven't flipped them over yet. And in their vocation. And there is something about that wounded child, because this is about the wounded child in every heart, in a sense, right? Like there's that sense of scope here in terms of service, spiritual service for the Virgos here. With that creativity, my God, there's inspirations just getting ready to drop down into the crown here. That wounded child, please, what does that look like on the outside for the Virgo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, work, career, vocation, November and December 2020. Okay, now look, before I get into this, we've got a court card on the table, only one, the other two are major arcana. For your career, the way I read this, Knight of Pentacles is Virgo. This is the Virgo card to me. There are honey, there are beehives in the background there, right? It's a Virgo thing. It is the slowest moving knight of the four, granted, but it's mutable earth, something that builds over time. Yes, the slowest moving knight, but to me is a Virgo card. All the knights are mutable. Pentacles, earth, mutable earth, Virgo. Walking away. Crossing our legs. And then this becomes very, very interesting. This can only play, you're going to know how this plays itself out if this is your reading. But, I mean, the only thing I can say is then really, see, this is a different aspect of the healing family of archetype, is to rescue yourself. Is to maybe walk away in rescue of your own self. Now, let's look at this. Provide strength and support to others in crisis. Acts out of love with no expectation of reward. What if this is towards yourself? Just physically pulling back. Rescue you. It's very Drew Barrymore Ever After. It just is. And let's face it, Virgos, we're the Cinderellas of the fucking... Well, that's why, you know, can you be your own fairy godmother? Oh, Carolyn Myss, thank you for that one. Thank you for that one. That's fascinating. So look, in the outside world, this is saying you're being authentic as a Virgo to me. So it's not just what's happening outside of you, but seeing you from the outside. And it is slow and steady, so maybe this isn't a tearing away into the night little patches of fire where your feet hit the ground. No, this could be like, no, I am moving in that direction. A beehive isn't created overnight, and neither is honey. Ooh, honey. Honey, honey. We've got, again, the monk nun here, archetype in your career with revelation, with celebration, with the judgment card, and with the tower. Oh, dear. Oh, dear Virgo, it's common in the outside world. Your career is being struck by lightning one way or another, either reduced down to its foundation to be rebuilt. But this could also, because it's inside, right? Heart, third eye, and crown. This could be inspiration. This could be that very moment of lightning that strikes. You know, this is Poseidon, so of course there is an emotional aspect of this particular, right? It's like the third eye gets struck by light, by truth, right? In through the crown it comes, boom, hits the third eye, revelation, all at once, bam, right? And it's just gonna shake everything. Poseidon is the god of earthquakes. You're gonna shook. Major Arcana shook. Not Five of Pentacles shook. Just to differentiate. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Monk nun, your internal spiritual health, right? Your mental, emotional, psychological stuff. Single-minded devotion to spirit. Because with this wounded child, with this Leo card, darling, you got the star. I want this reading to be mine, and with that Virgo card there, I'm going to say, I don't know what that, it's the only card here that don't make sense to me personally, but that's okay. I'll talk to my guides afterwards. I'll take a break after this and talk to them. The star card, to me, in any tarot deck, the most spiritual card in any deck, even more than the world, right? Because the star is higher than the sun and the moon. This is about inspiration. This is about guidance. This is about grace. This is about healing. This is about alignment. And I mean, how many people call the 8th chakra the star chakra, the soul star chakra, the earth star, whatever they call it, right? Hovering over the head. There is such light and such hope and such healing and such alignment and such manifestation through forgiveness for you right now. But please, if that word is traumatic to you, if you have triggers and PTSD around the word forgiveness itself, I understand, but that's not the forgiveness I'm talking about. That is forgiveness based on the old paradigm of Newtonian physics, figure otherwise. This is quantum. This is seeing things from such a higher perspective and one of innocence. Granted, innocence that has been wounded, but that understands that the wound was written as is the healing, and there is no healing without wounds. Bam. There you have it. Let me reverse this. What I mean is we're going to go backwards now from the 8th down and to put this all together. And I can even do it as a blessing. Watch. Breathe. May the Virgo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need in their work, career, vocation, that the wounded child in their 8th chakra may absorb and channel this starlight, this hope, this mercy, this grace, this high vibrational power through their creativity, allowing it to grow and develop so that with the single-minded clarity, love, and devotion of the monk nun within them, that they can receive this revelation with some change, either within them, struck by lightning, or in their outside world, and something is revealed that is of a high divine nature of that star coming down, clearing the path for that star to come down through them, that guidance, that grace, as they rescue themselves and maybe others along the way, withdrawing from the world, slowly but surely going inward, following the guidance and the grace to move themselves forward, to be the best that they can be, to fulfill their role in the divine plan through their work, career, and vocation, to serve, to fulfill their purposes, to play out the script from fate to destiny, from lead to gold, for their well-being and for the well-being of all of life. So mote it be, and so it is. Excuse me. That called, that's a lot. It's a very kind of heavy reading here. But I'm going to say, get all this in alignment, because really right now I would say work the upper chakras, but bring it down and take your time. Slow and steady wins the race with this. Wow, my Virgos, thank you so much for watching. Again, if this clicked for you, just hit the thumbs up button for me, right? If you want more, subscribe, right? And if you really want to up my numbers, comment and share this stuff. Help a Virgo brother out, and I will help all of my Virgo brothers and sisters out. Virgo power for the well-being of all, because that's who I am, and that's what I want, and so mote it be. And so it is. Again, thank you so much for watching. May you receive all that you need before you know you need it in your work, career, and vocation, because I know how important that is to us Virgos. For November and December 2020, my darlings, my brothers, my sisters.